Good morning, boys and girls. Today I'm going to be doing a mini lesson on how you can draft your ideas before you begin writing on paper. So one of your assignments yesterday was to write about Mother's Day. And I asked you to include lots and lots of details. And I basically gave you an example on how to write lots of details. I basically told you to, think aloud, talk to somebody about it, because it really helps to think about it before you actually begin writing. Sometimes I know that we can be a little impulsive, and I know that we just get super excited and we want to get the work done and we just start writing, but it's really good. It's really smart to actually, just stop, think about what you want to write, collect those ideas, and then write. So I'm going to help you do that today. Some of us have a hard time just thinking in our brain, right? So some of us have to, either discuss it with someone, talk about it out loud, or you can actually just create your own little visual. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to create a visual. It's called creating a web. I'm going to create a web so that it will help. So this web is supposed to help me write all the things that I want to write in my story. Okay, because sometimes I start writing and I say to myself, there was something else I wanted to write, but I can't remember it. So this web is going to help me remember all the parts that I want to include in my story. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my easel right now. I'm going to put my video on my easel so that you could see. Okay. So here we go. So the first thing that you will have to do in order to make a web is you'll have to draw a circle in the middle of your paper, right? So you'll get a blank sheet of paper and you'll have to draw a circle, a big circle like this, okay? This is the center of my web. Now, the topic, I'm just going to use yesterday's topic. So the topic for yesterday was Mother's Day. So that's exactly what I'm going to write in the middle, because that is what my topic is about, Mother's Day. Last week, I asked you to write about exercise, your favorite exercise. So you would put exercise because that's the topic I asked you to write about. So, but yesterday's topic was Mother's Day. So that's what should go in the circle. That's what I'm writing about. Now I have to think about all the things that I did for Mother's Day, right? So I'm going to draw a line and another circle, but this circle is a lot smaller because this is just a small detail of my topic, right? This is a small part of Mother's Day. It's not everything I did on Mother's Day. It's just one little detail. And when I want to add another one, I'll just make another bubble and another one. So I just want you to pay attention as I show you. So on Mother's Day, what did my boys do for me on Mother's Day? Oh, I remember. They made me a breakfast. Yes. Oh, that was so delicious. So I'm just going to write breakfast. In these bubbles, you are not writing sentences. That you're going to save those sentences for your story paper, okay? Or your journals, wherever it is that you're writing your story. This is just to help you remember. A web is just to get your ideas down. And so, so that it helps you with your story. When you're writing your story, you can look at your web and see what it is that you're including and what it is that you still need to include in your story, okay? And the great thing about a web is that you can always go back to it. So like, let's say I write some stuff on my web right now, and then 2 minutes later, I say, oh, I forgot to write something. I forgot to include another detail in my day. You can always go back and add another bubble. So that's the great thing about webbing, okay? So let me just put this like this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so breakfast. Now, I want to include some of the things that they did for me for breakfast. So they made eggs for me. They got me some bagels. We had some fruit and juice. Oh, it's delicious. Okay. All right. So that was one detail of Mother's Day. Then, after we had our breakfast, the boys took me outside, and they know how much I love like sports and playing and exercise. So they created like an obstacle course for our whole family. And we had like potato racing, and we did like, I'm sorry, not potato racing, potato sack racing. And we jumped like through some tires, and we, we did some swinging. It was a lot of fun. So I'm just going to write here. Actually, I'm going to draw a picture because right now I'd rather draw a picture. That's one thing that you can do. You can either write the words. I'd like for you to challenge yourself and write the words, but you can also do some bubbles and pictures. So you can break it up. You can do maybe some bubbles in words and some bubbles in pictures. Because the obstacle course, there were so many things in this obstacle course, I'm going to write obstacle course. Right? So I remember to write that in my story. But then I'm going to draw all the things that we did, right? So we did some swinging, because I'm not going to write all that. There was also some tires we jumped through. Oh, and then they created like this path, and we like raced. So you can see that you can also draw pictures to get some of your ideas down. Okay. What else happened? Oh yeah, I remember. We also read outside, which is my favorite thing to do. Right before their nap, we read outside. So I'm going to say read on the grass. Yeah, that was fun. Okay. Let's see. The other thing they did for me was they baked me some cupcakes. So I am going to draw a cupcake. Again, you could draw, or you can write the words. I'd rather you write the words, because you guys are writers now. But you can also draw whatever makes you comfortable and whatever helps you remember your ideas, your details, because you're going to do a lot of writing right after you finish your web. So I just want this to help you organize, and also so that you can get as many details as you can onto your paper, onto your writing paper. So then, we watched a movie. So I'm just going to write movie. We watched a movie. It's Finding Nemo. So I'll just draw a little fish so that I remember that there's my little fish. Okay. And those were all the things that we did for Mother's Day. So here are all my details, okay? And let's say that, what if I had more? If I had more, I would just keep adding. So, if I had more things that I wanted to add, I would just keep adding. And you basically can create a really cool web of ideas, okay? So I don't have to fill these in right now, because this is all I did for Mother's Day, or this is all that my boys did for me on Mother's Day. But you might have more things that you want to add to your story. So you might need extra bubbles, okay? And when you web your ideas, this is not just for Mother's Day. This is for any type of writing that you do. You should always make a web, okay? you should always make a web to help you jot down as much as you can into your story, right? Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes you'll write to me, or sometimes you'll write in your journal, I went to the park. It was fun. Yay. But that doesn't give me enough details. Like, what did you do at the park? What did you, what did you play on? Did you play on the swings? Did you go down the slide? Did you run? I need to know all that. People need to know all that. Your audience needs to know all that, okay? So that's why I think that webbing is going to be a great option for you and a great strategy for you to use before you begin writing your story, okay? So I'm done with my web, okay? And now what I'm going to do is write my story. I'm not going to throw my web in the garbage. I need my web to help me write a great story. So I'm going to see if I can move that over a little bit. Okay, so here is it's going to be hard for you to see, but we can just try our best. Okay, can you see that? Okay. Okay. So you're not going to be able to see my web really well because I want you to see what I'm writing, but you can see that my web is over here and I'll be lifting my paper so I can see, okay? So my topic is Mother's Day. So one of the things that I saw many of you not do on Seesaw was that many of you forgot to write the topic. Some of you just started writing your sentences and you didn't start your sentence with the topic. The topic is Mother's Day. So we should have started our sentence with on Mother's Day. Just like back at school, we would always have sentence starters. It's the same thing. Now that you're home, you also need to have some sentence starters. And your sentence starters should always start with your topic, right? So on Mother's Day is a great sentence starter. On Mother's Day. Okay, see that? My boys. Okay, so I wrote down my topic, so I can cross this out now, okay? Oh, let me see if you can see. Cross it out like this. Okay, so I've used my topic, okay? Now the first thing I'm going to do, which was, because it was the first part of my day, is I'm going to write about my breakfast. So on Mother's Day, my boys made me a huge breakfast. Period. Okay? And I'm going to write what we had. I want to add as many details as, because I'm sure whoever's reading this would probably be asking themselves, well, if Mrs. had a huge breakfast, what was part of her huge breakfast? What did she eat? What did they make, right? I know that's the type of stuff I'd want to know if I was reading your story. So I'm going to write exactly what we had. Let me just bring this up. Okay. So I have it right here. I have eggs, bagels, fruit, and juice. So that's exactly what I'm going to write. We had bagels, eggs, fruit, and juice. Period. Okay? So I have now included this detail so I can cross it out. You don't have to cross it out. I like to so I can see what I have left to write. So I already wrote about my breakfast, right? Now I'm going to write about, I'll move over here, the obstacle course, okay? So I'm going to write, then, I'm going to use my transition words, then we went outside and I could either, let me see how I want to write that. Then we went outside and played games. I could say played games, or we did an obstacle course. say that we went outside and completed an obstacle course. Obstacle course. My favorite race, get another sheet of paper. Put this up here. You see this? Oh. Okay. Okay, so sorry if this is a little sideways. Okay. Straight. Okay. My favorite race was the potato sack hop. That was so much fun. I love adding emotion to my stories. That was so much fun. It was. I love adding some of my feelings so that my audience, the person, the people that are reading, can understand the tone that I'm adding to my story, right? So it's good to add some really fun punctuation marks, and it's also great to add some expression, some feeling into your story. That was so much fun. Okay, so I can cross out the obstacle course. Okay. Next, again, using another transition word. Next, we read my favorite book. So, next, we read my favorite book. We read Green Eggs and Ham. Next, we read my favorite book. We read Green Eggs and Ham on the grass. Okay, so I have two more that I need to add. See, if I hadn't created my web, I would have totally, I've done so much writing that I would have totally forgotten about these other two. Okay, so then we went to go eat some cupcakes because they had made me some cupcakes earlier that day. So let me read what I have so far. On Mother's Day, my boys made me a huge breakfast. We had bagels, eggs, fruit, and juice. Then we went outside and completed an obstacle course. My favorite race was the potato sack hop. That was so much fun. Next, we read my favorite book. We read Green Eggs and Ham on the grass. So I'm going to write then, or after, that's another transition word I can use. After we ate a cupcake and it was yummy. Again. All right. So I added my cupcake. And the last thing we did was watch a movie together as a family. So finally, that's another transition word that I want to use. We came inside and watched gosh, this is so hard to write this low. Finding Nemo as a family. It was, oh, my handwriting's getting sloppy. A great day. All right, I just made it. I ran out. Sorry, I got sloppy towards the end, but it's hard to write that low. Okay, so as you can see, I have my web, right? I used up all the details that I wanted to include. And then look how much I wrote because I was able to write down all of my details. Okay, look at this. I wrote so much, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not completed this web. Because the first time I wrote this story, I only wrote a little bit. I didn't write as much. And that's why I said to myself, I think I need to create a web to help me. So that's what I'd like for you to do, okay? I'd like for you to go back to your Mother's Day journal entry. And I'd like to see you create a web. And I'd like you to rewrite your Mother's Day story. I'd like for you, now, if you feel that you've added enough details in your story and you think you wrote a lot, then maybe you can do another journal entry about something else that you did over the weekend, and you can use the web to help you, okay? But I hope that you all learned, and I hope that this all helped you.